Have you ever wondered why some government employees thrive in retirement while others struggle to make ends meet? If you're a government employee planning to retire, or maybe you are stuck deciding on whether to retire or resign, this video will reveal to you 5 top reasons why some end up struggling when they choose retirement. Now, why is this important for you? Simple. Because you have one chance to get this right. And instead of risking your future, wouldn't it be better to learn from the mistakes that others have made that cost them hundreds of thousands and then avoid making the same mistake? It would, wouldn't it? Now, I'm Devon Naika, a specialist, trusted specialist helping South African civil servants confidently plan their futures. In this video, let's get started with the 5 options. And let me be clear before we get started, I'm not saying that retirement is wrong or that you should resign. That's your choice. My goal is to help you reveal the top 5 pitfalls so that when you are doing your planning, you understand how you can avoid them. And if you are considering resigning, make sure that you watch my video covering the top 5 reasons why members are not successful when they resign. For now though, let's focus on retirement and be sure that you stay until the end because you don't want to miss this. Now, the first secret that I want to share with you, or first tip that I want to share with you, is not factoring the penalty at retirement, right? This is one of those mistakes. Now, I'm going to head over onto a member statement. Now, this is a bit of an older statement, so keep in mind, it might have changed on your end, and I'll tell you exactly the points that you want to focus on, right? Notice in terms of the retirement benefits, I have a note here. I have a point, it's numbered 9. Might be different on yours, it could be 10, 11, 12, depending on your statement, right? And I've got the normal retirement figures. I can see the monthly pension and lump sum gratuity, but I see the number 9 here. So I'm going to look at the side and I'm going to zoom in on the notes under number 9, and it says the following. Normal retirement age is defined in terms of the fund rules as age 60. These benefit calculations are estimated and assume that you will retire at 60. So what is happening here, and I've shared it in previous videos, is that the figures that you are seeing on the statement, so the figures that you're seeing here, they're not accurate if you are below 60, right? They are accurate if you come to 60. But if you are below 60, they're not accurate. Let's go on. What happens if you are above 60, right? So if you are older than 60, your retirement benefits are estimated up to age 65. So again, if you are 61, it's not calculated to age 61, it's still calculated to age 65. This is why it says if you choose to retire before your retirement age, your estimated benefits reflected in the statement will be adjusted. And this is where a lot of members refer to the penalty, right? And what I'm sharing with you now, you want to keep in mind that penalty. So understand this, that the figures that we see here in terms of the monthly pension and the lump sum gratuity, they may not be accurate. They will be accurate in the month that you turn 60 or the month that you turn 65. But before that, they're not. So let's go back to take a look here. Not factoring the penalty. Now, why is this a problem? Because you might be expecting a higher value. So for example, you might be, say you are 56 years old in my example, and you see the figure here showing you a value of 30,000, right? That's the monthly income that's coming to you. However, that's only the income that you would get when you get to age 60, right? Keeping in mind in my example, I'm saying you're not yet at age 60, you're at 56. So assuming you are aiming at retiring in this case, the problem is you might be expecting that you're going to earn an income of 30,000. However, once the penalty takes effect, where they bring the figures back, right? So instead of projecting it to age 60, they bring it back to 56, right? So before. Once this takes effect, you might see that your income now is sitting at 25,000. Again, I'm using examples because I just want to illustrate the point, right? You can get the accurate figures directly from the pension fund, but I just want you to understand the fine print so that you understand how to read it and know how to apply it. So one of the mistakes that members have is they haven't read the fine print and they take the decision to go forward with the retirement, assuming that they're going to receive this income, the high income. But it's not really the case, and then this immediately lands them in hot water. And remember, once you make the decision, there's no turning back, right? You can't really go back and adjust the figures or say that you've made a mistake. It becomes something cast in stone. So before you make the choice, if you're aiming at retiring, understand the details here so that you know how to plan carefully for it, right? The next is a lack of tax planning. Now you might be asking me, but if your benefits are predetermined, how does it impact you from a tax perspective? So keep in mind, when you are receiving your income, the monthly pension, I'll put it here as pension. And when you receive the gratuity, these benefits are predetermined, right? Meaning the fund will dictate the amounts that's going to be provided to you. The fund will dictate the income that you'll receive. The fund will dictate the gratuity. Now, because the fund is dictating those to you, the amounts cannot be changed. They are fixed. And as a result, tax must be paid. Right? You have to pay the tax there. So why am I talking about a lack of tax planning? Because there are still techniques that you can use to save on tax. So although you're having to pay some tax, there's some techniques that you can use. I'll give you an example. Assuming you have a retirement annuity, you want to keep in mind that when you access money from the retirement annuity, SARS is going to take a look at the money that you've accessed from the pension fund as well, the gratuity. See, your lump sum gratuity, and it's taxed in the same way. So one of the techniques you can use is you don't necessarily have to take out all the funds in your retirement annuity. You can look to see what are ways in which you can structure it where you don't have to pay extra tax. See, so although your tax on this end is predetermined, it can't be changed, you can look outside of that. What are you doing with bank savings? What are you doing with, if you had saved money in retirement, how can you structure your finance in such a way that you're starting to create some tax relief, right? Where you don't have to pour out large sums to SARS. The next thing is lack of control over their money. Now, when I say this, it's in multiple areas, and this is more from this perspective. Tough word. It's from a discipline perspective. Right? Because the moment you receive the lump sum gratuity, the moment you receive your monthly income, that's pretty much it, right? That's the end of it. The income itself cannot be adjusted. You can't really go back to the fund to say you want to have a 10% increase or a 20% increase in the fund. You agree? Because if you're aiming at retiring, the fund then would determine the percentage increase that you're going to get, which means you have to be extremely disciplined when you are managing your money. Discipline in terms of your lump sum gratuity, how you manage that money, discipline in terms of the monthly income that you are receiving, and how you budget for that. Right? And you want to make sure, again, as I shared with you earlier, from a tax perspective, you're taking that into account. You also want to start to ensure that you're putting yourself in a position where you can clear off some of your debt. You want to make sure that you can set aside some money. If you want to do holidays, you want to make sure you set aside money for that. If you want to purchase a new vehicle, you want to renovate your home, you want to make sure that you can put yourself in a position where you have the liquidity to do that. You don't just want to be living hand to mouth. Now, keep in mind that a lot of responsibility lies in your hands because of the fact that the income cannot be adjusted within the fund itself, right? You can't determine that. So you want to make sure with whatever income you have, the gratuity, money that you've saved, you've managed your other pools of money carefully and well so that it allows you to never run out, right? You have enough to live comfortably for as long as you live. The next thing is lack of legacy planning. Now, a lot of members reached out to me to say that there's limited benefits for their kids if their kids are financially independent and it's beyond a 5-year period, the kids cannot inherit. So from a legacy perspective, keeping all of that in mind, you can ensure that you are setting up perhaps a life cover policy. And you set up a life cover policy with beneficiaries to pass on to your spouse perhaps, or pass on to your kids. You can choose your beneficiaries, right? But this is a way in which you can ensure that you are leaving your legacy. Not only that, you can make certain that you are drafting your will. You want to make certain that the will is drafted. You want to make sure that the will is regularly reviewed. You also want to have a look at what are the taxes that could come up. See, what are the costs that come up on there? So when you're doing legacy planning, it doesn't necessarily just have to hinge on the money that's sitting inside of the pension fund. You want to have a look at your entire portfolio, right? Money that's sitting inside of the fund, income that you are receiving, how much would go to your family? And if you can see it's not enough for them to live comfortably, what are the options that you have to ensure that you can supplement it, right? And again, I've shared some with you here, making sure that you have a life cover policy, making sure you analyze what the costs are so that the transition for your family just becomes a bit more easier and a bit more palatable, right? You don't leave it to the end. And then not comparing retiring and resigning. So keep in mind, once you make the decision to retire, it's cast in stone. So again, as I said at the start of the video, this is not aimed at pushing you towards resigning or pushing you away from retiring. This is just information that I've picked up from members making mistakes in the past, designed to empower you. So you can still move forward with retiring if you want. Just make sure that you take this information into account when you're doing your planning. And you also want to make certain that you get some type of comparison done. And the reason for that is you only have one chance, isn't it? One chance to get this right. So you want to start to have a look at all the different elements, right? What are some of the things that you want to factor? It could be what's happening from your income perspective. It could be what's happening on a tax perspective. It could be what's happening on a lump sum perspective. You could also want to get information from medical aid, planning your legacy. Right? You can see there's a number of elements that could be done. You also want to have a look at cap leave and what's happening from an investment perspective. Now, no excuses for you, because I do have access to my Retire vs. Resign Masterclass that you can gain access to at no charge. It's designed to give you the information that you need to compare retiring and resigning on your own, and then it puts you in a position where you can make an informed decision, right? So again, you're always in control there. The problem that members make is they don't properly understand what resignation has to offer. They don't properly do their research on comparing retiring and resigning. It just becomes convenient for them to choose one particular avenue. So rather than doing that, I'm saying spend a little bit of time analyzing, and I've done all the homework for you, right? So all the heavy lifting just for you to register and to watch the masterclass. Go and understand the differences between these and then compare the options so you know you are making the right choice. I hope the video has been helpful for you. Let me know amongst your friends and colleagues, those members that have opted to retire, which of the 5 mistakes you think they have been making, right? Or they have made that cause them to have a bit of a problem. Is there anything else that I haven't covered inside of this video that you feel would be important for other members? So post comments below. Remember, if you found the video helpful, give me a thumbs up so it helps to motivate me and inspire you to create more videos like this. And keep watching. I will see you in the next video.